In life, we encounter people every day, all of whom have stories to share. We rarely take the time to ask people their personal stories, many of which will touch, move, and inspire us in some way. Matt has a passion for making authentic connections and learning about people from all walks of life. He has lived a life of giving back to the community and making a difference in people's lives. Are you ready to meet fascinating people and hear some inspiring stories? The Matt Hilton Show will introduce you to a world of possibilities you never knew existed. Sit back, be present, and enjoy. Here's your host, Matt Hilton.
Hey everyone, Matt Hilton here, the host of the Matt Hilton Show. Thank you for joining us today. You don't want to miss this episode. My guest today is a friend of mine from church, and he has led a life full of recovery, relapse, and a love for helping people and a deep relationship with God. You don't want to miss this episode. Stay tuned for a word from our sponsor.
Inspired, experienced, customer-focused. Find a mortgage that fits your needs with Maria Leach at First United Bank Mortgage, specializing in construction and closing all types of loans, including jumbo, portfolio, conventional, FHA, and VA. A tenured team, outstanding service, competitive programs. Finance your dreams with Maria Leach at First United Bank Mortgage. mleach.firstunitedteam.com, 214-316-7915. mleach@firstunitedbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey friends, Matt Hilton here. Thank you for tuning into the Matt Hilton Show today. Today's guest is a friend of mine and someone that I've met through going to church here in the Dallas area. And I wanted to invite Jason Statzer on the show with me today, and so he could tell his story to you. So Jason, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Matt, for having me.
Yes, sir. For sure. So I want to start out with your shirt. Normal isn't coming back, Jesus is. So what is normal?
You want the Webster's Dictionary version, or?
I'm just wondering, what does this shirt mean to you? What is normal?
Normal, man. I've never even lived a normal life, so I really have no idea how to answer that question.
Yeah, so normal isn't coming back.
It isn't coming back for me.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. And I think it's very subjective, right? To everyone in the audience. Normal maybe means something different to me than it means to you and means to any of you out there. So, yeah, interesting stuff. So tell me a little bit about you and tell the audience about you. So start with, where'd you grow up? Your family makeup, all that sort of stuff. So let's start there.
Sure. My family's farmers. We're a farmer bloodline from West Texas, Clovis, New Mexico, Muleshoe, Texas area. I guess my family they farmed crops and they did farming things. But I got to be raised in the city, and I'll tell you why. I was born into a disabled family. By the time I came around, my mother and father had already had a baby, and the baby had a crib accident. My brother was in a crib accident. Okay. He suffered anoxic brain damage, which means it cut off all the oxygen to his brain, and at 4 months old. So during that time, they were looking for better care than what they were finding in the area of where they were raised. So I was born in Amarillo, and then then by the time I was around 2 years old, I'd moved to Dallas. Okay. And the main thing that brought us to Dallas was the Scottish Rite Hospital for disabled children. So my brother's deafblind. He's severely, profoundly, developmentally delayed, would be the proper way to say it today. And we just raised him through these different programs and hospitals and care places for the disabled.
Right. Wow. So that was your normal.
Yes.
Right. Growing up, right. Having a disabled older. So how much older is he?
14 months.
14 months.
Yeah, that's a kind of a crazy part of my story too, because my brother he suffered this crib accident at the age of 4 months. Okay, and somewhere during these 45 days in the hospital, I was conceived. And my mom would always tell me, I have no idea how this happened, because obviously my mind wasn't in in that type of spot,
Right.
you know. And so she just suddenly found out that she was going to have me, and it scared her. Like, I know when I put myself in a woman's shoes with a disabled baby, I would be scared to have another baby. My mom went through some she had some mental problems with this because she blamed herself, and she was really scared to have another child.
Right. Right. And Jason, if questions get too personal, let me know. But as far as how did this happen in the crib, like?
Well, I'm an open book, and I had no secrets. So, the way my mother explained it to me, it was time to feed Nathan. His name is Nathan. I'm sorry, I don't think I ever even mentioned that. But it was time to feed Nathan, so she laid Nathan down in the crib and did like any mother would go get the bottle ready or whatever the case may be, and of course he's crying, throwing a fit or whatever. You know how babies are when they're hungry.
Sure. And
he rolled over. And in 1973, the mattresses actually were a lot smaller than the cribs themselves. There was the mattresses were at least 6, if not 8 inches gap in between the mattress and the railings of the cribs. So his head got stuck in there, and she didn't know that. And by the time she got back in there, I mean, it all happened so fast that he was blue, apparently. So she rushed him to the hospital, and nobody expected him to live. I mean, the doctors would tell my mom that he's never going to sit up. He's never going to be turning his head from side to side. He's never going to have a normal life. And he's probably not going to make it.
And 49 years later, he's still here.
No, 46 years later.
Okay.
He actually passed. He passed April 18th of 2020.
Okay.
But 2 weeks before his 47th birthday.
Yeah.
So yes, we were blessed with him for 47 years. But he functioned like a 2.1-month-old baby his whole entire life.
Right.
Deaf, blind baby. Just like a deaf, blind baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was your normal, Jason. So what was that like day to day? Like, if he was in the hospital, I guess, did you visit him every day? Like, what was that like on a day-to-day basis?
Well, as I got older, I can remember my first chore when I was 2 was my mom said, go get 2 diapers. I need one for your brother and I need one for you. So that's the start of it. Every time I did anything, I did it for Nathan first.
Right.
Got to get up and go to school. Got to get ready to go to school. I got up and got Nathan dressed, bathed, fed, medicated, so he could catch the bus. Because the special needs bus come pick Nathan up and took him to his special needs classes and stuff or whatever. And then I got Jason ready. Jason took a shower. Jason took care of. So anything that you need to do to take care of yourself, I did for my brother first.
Yeah.
And that was my normal. Helping others was my normal.
Yeah. So as you graduate from high school, what happens at that point? Whenever you
So I didn't graduate from high school
Okay.
because I went left around the high school age. I was rebellious, and I was tired of this and that, and I had my anger issues, and that's the only way I was able to take it out was to not care about school. I've never, since the 3rd grade, I've never really been able to pay attention to school.
Okay.
And they identified a comprehensive problem. So I took special classes because, like, I would read a story, but I wouldn't tell you I couldn't tell you what the story was about or what it meant, or I didn't comprehend the gist of it. I just didn't get it.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually graduate high school.
Okay.
But when I did turn 18, I went and met my biological father, and I mean, I guess that's right when my addiction started getting worse, really. So,
Addicted to what?
well, I started doing drugs when I was about 13. It started with smoking marijuana, cigarettes and marijuana, and then it was drinking. And I thank my stepfather for these things, because when I was 14 years old, my father bought me a fifth of tequila for my birthday. My mom threw a fit, but my dad's retort was, if the boy's going to drink, he's going to drink around us. And I never thought about drinking. But once he introduced me to that, I was having it was kind of fun. So, and it was a bonding thing with me and my dad. It was kind of a weird bonding thing, but that's what was going on. He was trying to really bond with me.
Right.
And in a way I wasn't really cared to, but I did, because I really wanted to bond with him. I wanted mine and my stepdad's relationship to be different than what it was.
Sure.
So I would do anything to make it that way.
Yeah. So as you're drinking, smoking cigarettes, marijuana, you develop an addiction. Does that lead to anything else, or do you pretty much stick to marijuana?
No, it led me to a lot of worse things, and I was doing heroin and cocaine in high school, and I was doing it with my dad. I started in high school doing cocaine, and then it turned to heroin, and then as I got older, it turned to meth, and once I discovered meth, I got lost, like, really. Once I started doing that stuff, I learned how to make it, and I mean, I went through the lengths of keeping that stuff around me in my life, in my pocket, because I enjoyed the feeling. I loved it. So when I found something I love to do, I get into it, and I study it. So that's what happened with that. And then 25 years later, I realize, what am I doing?
25 years later.
Yeah.
I heard that right?
25 years of drug use total, yeah.
What type of a toll does that do on the body?
Well, I mean, I lost all my teeth. It melted my teeth away, and I really didn't know how to live a life without doing drugs. So there's a lot of life that I've been so lost in drugs that I missed.
Yeah.
I feel like I've missed. Education, or getting a degree, or becoming somebody in life, actually becoming anybody, was something I missed out on. Those are words from my shoes.
Right.
I'm sure that there's neighbors out there who would think differently. But from where I stand, I don't have a title.
You're Jason.
I have a name.
That's your name.
I have a name.
And God recognizes that name.
Amen. He does.
So,
He does.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. So 25 years later, what happened? Like, what woke you up?
So the story goes like this. I was off on one of these bridges that you see behind us here. Not these particular bridges.
I was about to say okay.
Not these particular ones, but a bridge like it. It was Gross Road at 635, if you want to be technical. And and what was going on this night is I had a bad deal go down. My girlfriend broke up with me. My car broke down. This and that and this, had different problems piling up on me, and I didn't have no solutions but to suicide. I was that angry, and I was so angry with myself. It wasn't even about my life. It was about me, because I know I'm smarter than this, and I know I'm better than this, but I just didn't know how to get out of it. By this time in my life, I was selling drugs, and that's all my friends would let me do. You know, even if I wanted to quit, another friend would say, "Hey, look out, hit me up, this and that," and before you know it, we're together, we're getting high, and the cycle continues.
Sure.
So I was standing on this bridge, and I'm furious. I already broke my cell phone, and I look up at the sky and I shaking my fist. And I'm like, God, if you don't change my life, you know, I'm gonna jump off this bridge, etc. But I didn't, of course, and I walked back to my car after I threw my little temper tantrum. I walked back to my car. I climbed into the back seat of my car because it was broke down in a parking lot at the dollar store, and I went to sleep. And the next morning, I woke up, my car started. So I want to go home because at this time, me and my mom were fighting too, and I wanted to go make amends with my mother, and I wanted to go home because I really wanted to change my life. And that's where I was headed. And on my way home, I got into a car accident. Somebody pulled out in front of me. They ran a stop sign, pulled out in front of me. Bam. Of course, they hold me accountable for the accident, not the guy that ran the stop sign, because I hit him. So, and it was in a residential area. It wasn't on an interstate or you know, a street. So the cops came. Apparently, I had 2 warrants out for my arrest. They arrested me, got me off the streets and out of the loop of being the dope man.
Now, was that your first time to be arrested during this 25-year period?
No, it's not my first time being arrested.
Okay.
You know, I've been in and out of jail, but nothing major, like
Right.
speeding tickets or, you know, nothing major. You know, I'm not a criminal. It's just
Right.
something happened. So, but it was God's way of getting me out of the loop. And if Jason ain't available, they go somewhere else. Well, I got to spend 7 months in jail. And by the time Jason got out of jail, nobody was calling Jason anymore for, you know, for the extracurricular activities we were involved in. So I was freed from that.
So when you spend 7 months in jail, tell us about that experience. Like I have never had a night in jail, so I don't know what that's like. So I can only imagine 7 months.
The first time.
Right.
Okay, and then we're just talking about county jail. I mean, I've been to prison too. So the first time, this 7 months during this particular 7 months, I kind of started trying to get serious about knowing about God.
And what led you to that?
Well, this conversation I had on the bridge. After I got in there and after I'd been stopped, you know, I haven't been doing drugs a couple of weeks, I started to get my mind back.
Okay.
And I knew something inside me was telling me God, 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 God. So I wanted to find out more about God. So I joined the prayer circles they got going on in county jail. You know, every little pod has their own little prayer circle. You got 5 or 6 men in there who are all about God, great people. They're just making mistakes. So I got real serious with myself one night, and I went up to take a shower. I got in the shower, and as the water was pouring over my body, I prayed the deepest prayer I probably ever prayed my entire life right then and there, and I asked God to help me learn how to be me, how to learn how to be who He created me to be. And I was sincere and desperate. And then I also asked Him that I said, I want You to teach me, Lord. I don't want another man. I don't want a fellow neighbor to teach me about You. I want You to. So I devised these jailhouse earplugs, put them in my ear, grabbed my little brown Bible, and shut the jail out of my head. And just got in my bunk and started reading that Bible. And the rest is history. You know, that's where it began. And we're talking That was 2008.
I was about to ask what year that was. So that was
2008, 2009. I got out. I got out February 19th in 2009 from that stay in jail.
Right. And that was at county.
That was in county.
Okay. So day in, day out, you're eating, sleeping, reading the Bible.
Yeah,
Right.
and circling the room. You know,
Okay.
there ain't nothing else to do in there. You ain't got nowhere to go, but you'll do laps around the pod just for exercise or whatever. You know, think it's a way of thinking. So yeah, pretty much was just wondering when I'm going to get out, and I wasn't going to get out until it was time for me to get out.
Okay. So what was your sentence when you went in? It wasn't for 7 months.
No, I ended up getting probation.
Okay.
I got 5 years probation, but the first 180 days had to be spent in jail,
Okay.
and that was to get my mind right from the meth.
Right.
It was a stipulation.
Okay.
I didn't learn that stipulation though until after I signed the probation. And she says, "You get 5 years probation. Sign here, sign there." She goes, "Okay, well, the first 180, you're gonna stay in jail." So I'm like, but I am so grateful for those 180 days.
Yeah.
Because even after I was released from jail, I relapsed. I got back with the same girlfriend and I relapsed, and it only took 2 months for me to leave the situation again because it was already back to getting hectic, and I noticed it. And I did what it took to get away from it, and that's when I actually went to Teen Challenge.
Okay.
So I got to go to Teen Challenge in the Permian Basin in 2009 because I really wanted to change my life, but I didn't know how to do that and continue the friendships I had, because the friendships I had were all drug related.
Right. Right.
You know, I mean, even though I loved these friends to death, I just couldn't continue destroying myself on the inside. You know, it just wasn't working for me inside no more.
So this teen challenge was in, you said, the Permian Basin.
Yeah, it's in the Midland, Odessa
Okay,
area.
So, yeah, Midland, Odessa, for those of you that don't know where the Permian Basin is.
Yeah.
So memory serves me correctly from what you started off the conversation with, like West Texas was where you grew up, right? So did you have family that connected you with Teen Challenge? How did you find out
My
about
uncle, Tom, he was a meth addict. And he went to Teen Challenge, and he went and graduated the program, and he basically walked me in this program and got me started. I mean, all he had to do was take me to the place. And it was a farm. It had, you know, it had some livestock on it, and it was a dorm for men, and then we were building a dorm for women when I was there. Women were housed somewhere else, but at the farm it was just men. And there was 50 of us in there at least, going through a 13-month program, very intensive, very, very Christ-centered. Okay. And I would tell you that I haven't been in that program for 12 years, and I still follow their routine. I'm up early in the morning. I have to pray and thank God for another blessed day, and I'm reading my Proverbs, and before the first 20 minutes of my day, I've already seek first the kingdom of God, and I'm trying to do the next right thing. And that's a thing I learned in Teen Challenge. Before you talk to your neighbor, you need to talk to God. You're like, God has to be your first thing in the morning, and I can't imagine living my life a different way right now.
Did you grow up in any type of a religious background, like in the family, any of that?
Not one bit.
Okay.
And I say not one bit because my father, the man that raised me, my stepdad, I remember this so clearly. My grandfather had passed away, and I was at home. It was my great-grandfather, I'm sorry. My great-grandfather had passed away, and I was about 9 or 10 years old. And the extension, this is the only thing I ever heard my stepdad say about God, is we're all going to die, boy, and we're going to meet our Maker. And out of the 18 years that man was in my life and raising me, that was it. We don't go to church except for funerals. And we don't talk about church. No, No family member has taught me about God.
Okay, so your uncle went to Teen Challenge, went through that program. So was there any, do you know how he found out about it?
Well, he'd had his own little stay in jail
Okay.
during his issues. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe a pastor come and told him about Teen Challenge while he was in jail, and he was gung ho because he wanted to change his life. I mean, it was kind of the same thing, just different areas, different places in our lives. He was a little older than I was, and so that's that's how he found it.
So I have so many questions, Jason. So I'm trying to connect the dots here, and that's why these questions are coming
That's
up.
fine.
So if you had no religious, upbringing per se, right, and your uncle really didn't either, when you go to county jail for that first stint, right, for that 7 months there,
Yes.
like, where does one go when one pulls out a Bible and start reading? Do you start in Genesis? Do you start in the New Testament? Like, where did Jason start reading?
I'm glad you asked that question because this is really important. So when I was going to do my little self baptism in the shower or whatever, and ask God to teach me exactly what His words mean or saying to me, and I put my earplugs in and I got that little Bible out, and I started in Genesis 1:1. And in Genesis 1:1, the Bible says, "In the beginning, God created." Those are the first 5 words of the Bible. I can remember instinctively shutting my Bible after I read the first 5 words and making a decision right then and there to believe that God created. There's no Big Bang Theory. There's none of this and none of that people talk about, different ideas or anything solution. Do I want to believe that God created? And I did. So I decided to believe that God created. And it just kind of went from there. Yeah. I read from where somebody told me Proverbs was the book of wisdom. And I kind of want to be smart about what I'm doing. So I do this every day. Today, I've read Proverbs 27. I do Proverbs every single day because it's the book of wisdom, and I want to learn. I want to learn the wisdom to teach my neighbor, to share with my neighbor. Maybe not so much teach, but to say, "Hey, look at this. This is what this is telling me," and then we go back and forth. But Proverbs is a life changer for me.
And were you introduced to that in prison or at Teen Challenge? Because I heard you mention that Teen Challenge.
To be honest with you, Matt, I really don't remember where I learned that at.
Yeah. So once you went through the Teen Challenge program, what happened?
So I was medically released from the Teen Challenge program after 6 months. Being raised with, I had a disabled family. My brother's disabled. My mother started having strokes, at this age or whatever. And it caused a lot of anxiety in me because I'm the guy that's supposed to be there taking care of them. Okay, I was born to take care of my brother. And my mother started having strokes, and she really needed me in her life to take, to watch over and take care of her. She didn't just need me. She needed me to be straight, like to be focused on the task at hand, to become the caretaker for her too. And it was very important for me to get my mind right and my life together and to where I can even think about taking care of them. So, that's what I set to do.
So you get out, and then you come back to Dallas?
I did. I got out. I came back to Dallas, and it wasn't very long before I got angry, and relapsed.
Did you get back in with the same crowd again?
I mean, it's the same type of crowd. It may not be the same exact people, but it's the same type of crowd. There's no different. This person, that person. It's the same game.
Can I ask you a question?
Really
I'm just going to interject and ask a question because this it intrigues me, right? how does one, I don't even know how to contact a drug dealer to find drugs. Like, it's just, I don't understand how you can come from not like being out of the circle, coming back, and then you're here. Like, what does that even look like? If you aren't in the same crowd again, how do you find another drug dealer that can give you your drugs? That's my naivety coming out.
Okay, so, if you're looking for something, you'll find it.
Okay.
Seek and you will find.
Good or bad?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for it, you'll find it.
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, at that time, all I had to say, I had contacts with old friends. Hey, man, can you get me? Hey, man, what's up? I want to do, oh, man, I got you. Come on. And then it takes that long to find what you're looking for.
Okay.
When it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah.
For real. So, because everybody wants you to do it. They want you to be a part of the in crowd. So it's not hard, man. It's really not.
Okay. And that's anywhere, not just here in Dallas. That's any and
everywhere.
Yeah. All right. So as you come back, you relapse. So now we're back in your normal life.
Back to the normal life. And I wanted to say earlier that drugs was normal for me. It was the normal life for me. It's not a surprise that I become this drug dealer because look at the parents I grew up with. I mean, my parents were introducing me to drugs at the age of 16. And I got smart one day and it's like, man, if I always want drugs, I just sell drugs. Because not only am I buying the drug for the buyer, but the dealer's hooking me up with drugs too. So I get drugs on both sides. So guess what? I got twice the drugs just for being the middleman. And that's where it started. It's like that's all of a sudden I always had a pocket full of it and too many friends to deal with and stressed out and man, it just drove me crazy. And it made me crazy. But so I get out of the teen challenge and I come back a relapse. And I was on that 5-year probation. Well, I stopped reporting. And then probation officer found me on the phone. And I've always been kind of a man of his word. Like if I say I'm going to do something, it doesn't matter if I'm high on drugs or not. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. So the probation officer got me to say that I'm going to come in and report. So I came in and reported. And I was high. I mean, I got high in the parking lot. And I told her I was high. She gave me a drug test, and she told me she don't even know how I'm alive because of how much is in my system. But she let me go that day. She let me go home. And then the next month, she gave me a chance, go get it off of them, whatever. The next month I come in and told her I can't quit unless I have some help. I just can't. And so I was arrested. And then I was sent to Safe P. And Safe P is a prison for treatment.
Okay.
You're incarcerated, you're dressed in white, just like and it's ran by TDC guards, and you got this program. And they dissect your thinking. Like they break your thinking down. They have ways and means and strategies and counselors and it's just amazing now that I'm back on this side of that. I can look back and say that this is amazing that this system worked and is working because I use these thinking errors and these thinking errors as examples for others in my life today, like unrealistic expectations. They'll teach you about unrealistic expectations and do you recognize it? I expect you to act this way and behave this way, and I expect the world to rotate around my wants and my beliefs, and it's just like, this is unrealistic. And you recognize that in your own thinking. In time. Like, over time, I realized that, hey, I've got some unrealistic expectations because I expect people to behave the way I think they should behave, and they don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, have you ever experienced that?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So, and then uniqueness, man. The rules don't apply to me. I am unique, and they don't apply to me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of others, of course. But this program taught me these things. They pointed these things out to me, and it's just like, you know, if I really want to work on Jason, then Jason needs to work on these behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
So I do. I do my best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you went through that program, or that treatment, right?
I did.
At Safe P, right?
It was
And
It was a 9-month stay.
9 month.
They told me the day I walked in there and says, "Well, this is 9 months still. You just look at it like this."
And you don't get out early.
No.
You stayed
Oh,
the
no.
entire 9
9
months.
months.
Okay.
Day to day. You look at it like this: you're in the womb. You're about to be born again into a new life.
Mm-hmm.
Take these 9 months to grow. You know, and that was the most basic, simple, logical explanation of this stay I could, and it was great. Now the program itself was tough because they had you feet on the floor at 5 o'clock in the morning. Feet on the floor at 5 a.m. You got to get up, make your bed, this and that. You got classes to go to, and you're programming all day. You go from one class to another, another to another, to another, to another. Oh, it's lunchtime. Then you go to another, you know, and before you know it, it's chow time at the end of the day. You get your little, you know, you stop program around 6 or 7 o'clock. You got enough time to eat you a snack, take a shower, and get ready for bed because feet on the floor at 5 a.m. comes early.
Mm-hmm.
And before you know it, man, it's 16 hours a day. And at first, like the first couple, you know, month or so, it's hard to get in that routine. But after that month, it's like the time flew by. It's like you're so busy, you know, you were feet on the floor, and then it's now feet off the floor, and it's time to, and it's just, wow, I couldn't believe that the 9 months went by so fast.
Right.
So I'm very grateful that I was able to go through that Safe P.
So if math is right up here in this brain of mine, we're about 2010-ish, 2011.
Yeah, 2011 I was released from the Safe P.
Okay.
I do have anger issues. You know, my parents got, you know, taught me at a really young age that I'm angry. I probably inherited that from my stepfather. He taught me how to be really angry. He'd wake up in the morning and he was really angry every day. So it didn't take very long for me to get angry and relapse again. After all that programming, I got angry and I relapsed again because when I get angry, I don't care. You know, it's just like for a moment, I just don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back to Safe P on a relapse track. They call it relapse track, and it's a 6-month stay this time. So I go back and I kind of do a different program in a different place, but I only do one treatment plan because I'm the problem. It has nothing to do with the world I'm facing, and I'm not gonna. I needed to work on me.
Mm-hmm. So
during this time in Safe P, I got into my word really big. I read a few books from Joel Osteen and of course Joyce Myers.
Mm-hmm.
Joyce Myers' words helped me change the law. She has this it's Battlefield of the Mind book. And I dissected that book and studied that book so much, and it helped me tremendously in a lot of my thinking errors. And I got, like I said, I got real serious during these 4 months, and I did my treatment plan. Like within the first week, I was there. I went through the whole thing, did all the work I needed to do, all the written work, all the essays, and everything I needed to do for that treatment plan. I turned that treatment plan in, and my counselor says, "Are you ready for another treatment plan?" I told her no. I said, the rest of my time here is going to be personal, I can't remember the word, but it's basically a time to rebuild myself personally. It'll take some personal time. And I'm going to read my Bible, and I'm going to study my Bible, and I'm going to read things that pertain to my Bible, because that's the only answer for me. I mean, you can counsel me all you want, this and that. I understand that they told me that I wasn't even an equation to my problems in life, which means I had all these issues and had all these responsibilities and boulders on my shoulders that I was never even a part of. I was born into this disabled family with addictions, and I never had a chance to be me. I don't even know who I am, because I've always changed diapers or this and that and take care of me, and everybody just comes and goes. And it's like 90% of my life has been lived for somebody else.
Right.
And so I took some time to get to know who I am and who I want to be.
So when you go through Safe P, does that violate probation? Is that 5 years still ticking?
Yeah,
or has
it's
it
still
been
taking.
extended?
It's still taking.
Okay.
They didn't add no. I didn't get no new charges or anything like that. It's just it was written in as a stipulation of my probation when I relapsed. They just said, we'll just it's just kind of a little paragraph. We're going to send you back to.
They've
Safe
done this
P.
before.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
On that legal stuff. They just add a little paragraph to your probation, and no big deal.
Okay.
So I actually successfully discharged from my probation
Okay.
in 2013.
2013. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. A little closer to today.
My last time I got high on meth was February 7th, 2012.
Okay.
So I haven't touched it since then, and I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I love my life too much today to even think about stuff like that anymore.
So that was after the second Safe P.
That was the day my judge sent me back to relapse track. Said February 7th, 2012 is the day
Okay.
I was rearrested and went to county to wait for Chain to go to relapse track Safe P.
Gotcha.
February 7th.
Okay.
So I'd went and did 6 more months in jail, and I got out in August.
Okay.
So I haven't even been in jail, and I'm so happy.
Yep. Yeah. So that was your last time in jail
As an inmate.
as an inmate.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about that. What does that mean as an inmate?
Well, as an inmate means that I like to be a volunteer
Okay.
today. I think my passion in life is to be a prison minister. I want to go in there and teach people about Jesus, because I think I have what it takes. I know their language. I can grab their attention, and I'm good with it. I'm really good with it. A couple of years ago, before the pandemic hit, I was actually volunteering and going into the prisons. Actually, Hutchins State Jail here. And it was 2 days before my mother passed away. I went in there and I was on the mic for the first time. And needless to say, I kind of ripped the roof off the place. Blew people's minds and even my own. And I just let God take over, and I couldn't believe the things that I was saying. I mean, it's like as I was saying them, I was learning them at the same time, and it was just weird. But it's what I need to do in life. I mean, it is what I have been sent here to do. And I believe that all the things that I've been through the first 40 years of my life have led up to what I'm about to do for the rest of my life. And that's all I really want to do in life.
So what does Jason want to do with the rest of your life?
I want to teach people about Jesus. I want to talk about Jesus. I want to talk about God. And I want to talk about how Jesus leads us to God. A couple of weeks ago when we were at church, and Pat used you and me, stood us up, and he was talking about God, holding the hands of God and holding the hands of the world. Okay,
Right.
You remember this, right?
Yep.
I was
Very
wearing the same
distinctly.
shirt. Okay, all right.
I wasn't. But
No,
yeah.
you wasn't, but I was wearing the same shirt. So I didn't do this because I didn't want to disrupt Pat's teaching at the time. But I believe that our lives are meant to hold the hand of God and hold the hand of our neighbor. You're going to be the middleman between God and neighbor. Okay, this is what Jesus did. Jesus come down here and he's the middleman between God and neighbor. But his mission in life is to join the hand of neighbor to God, where the neighbor is holding God's hand. because Jesus helped him hold his hand. So the middleman kind of steps out a little bit, and then the neighbor gets to have the relationship with God because of Jesus. I know that's just my perspective, that's the way I kind of look at things, but I believe, and the more I study what Jesus was doing on this planet, that's what he was doing. Trust God. Trust God. Just, ask God and trust. He's always talking about God through me, Pay attention to my truth, this way of life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I will teach you the ways to live in truth and experience life. It's just, it's amazing, and I really wish I could put my brain on Front Street for everybody to see what's going on in my head at the same time, but I can only do so much, right?
Hey everyone, that's the end of part 1 with Jason Statzer. Stay tuned next week as we dive deeper into his exciting and interesting life.
The Matt Hilton Show would like to thank our sponsors, Hilton Realty Advisors and Maria Leach with the First United Mortgage Group. The Matt Hilton Show would also like to thank our partners, the Who Do You Know organization. You can find out more at wdyk.org. If you'd like to contact Matt or know a fascinating person with an inspiring story that would make a great guest, reach out to the show at themattHiltonshow@gmail.com.